revive me. This is exactly how the psychic said it would go out. I love this time of year. I know it's a hard time for a lot of people because of the weather and everyone gets sad, the seasonal affective disorder, right? Which is very real for you white people. So brave. I get something called SAC, which is a seasonal affected kinks. Yeah. 1 in 10 Americans. Probably. My SAC is that I just get so incredibly, uncontrollably horny for Santa Claus. Yeah. My SAC is for Santa's sack. And I love comedy because I think if I said that in any other context, I would end up on the no-fly list. Yeah. And that beard, God, get a bucket and a mop. There's some ho-ho-hos in this house. And I fully believe that Santa is a gay icon. I do. He wears a 2-piece velvet set with a sassy little belt. It's a very generous silhouette, which I think we could all appreciate as gays during the holidays. Lots of sweets. Lots of body shaving family members. Yeah. And him and Mrs. Claus, they're probably in a lavender marriage. Or at least they read Polysecure. I'm not sure. It's one of them. And Santa surrounds himself with a bunch of hunky, industrious, hardworking little people. And it's just nice to know I have a shot.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that. Yeah. He's the reason for the season. Or at least my season. I guess Jesus is also the reason for the season. But okay, like if you think about it, it was like if Christmas was Coachella, Jesus, opening. Mariah, headliner. Yeah, Santa, the cloud we're all waiting to see. Yeah. And I like this time of year because it kind of reminds me of my childhood in some of the best and worst ways. Yeah. It was like the one time of year my family would like go outside in nature. We'd get all bundled up and we'd go be amongst the trees in the Safeway parking lot. Yeah, people come to have a great relationship with nature. I feel like, I don't know the psychology behind this, but I feel like we worked really hard to get out of it. We're not really gonna elect to be in it. This one time my brother was coming to visit and he wanted to go apple picking. And immediately I was like, your girlfriend's white. And second thing, I was like, wow, why would I pay to do labor? So weird. But it's good for him. He broke the cycle. That's nice. Yeah. It was also like the only time I kind of enjoyed being at church, which is kind of weird. I had a pretty religious upbringing, and during Christmas, it was like the only time where they just talked about Christmas and not about hating gays. The church we went to was an Indian Baptist church, which is like a really scary bunching of words together. And I struggle with this joke a little bit, but we were the wrong Indians for the Indian Baptist church. Yeah. And I fact-checked this recently because I was like, let me get my story straight before my Netflix special. The name of the church was the American Indian Baptist Church. It was in San Francisco on Leland Avenue. But it wasn't like American Indian or colon. There was no umlaut. I feel like it was a way for my parents to sort of soft launch to their kids that they're kind of dumb. Yeah. And we stayed at that church for years and no one talked about it. Either side. We were 4 Indian people in a Native American church. Yeah. And that sort of collective delusion is probably why I do comedy. Yeah. Not to brag, but I was in the Christmas holiday show there. playing the violin, which is the most Asian thing I've ever done. Yeah, it was like a tiny desk concert for homophobes. Yeah. It's real fun. And like I said, the pastor would spend most of his time talking about how much gay people were evil. And I would just sit in that little pew and be like, why are you so obsessed with me? Because I knew I was gay very early. But more importantly, I knew I was a main character.
Yes.
And so did he. Yeah. It was a very confusing place to sort of grow up in because, again, homophobia, right? So weird. And it's hard when you're a kid to hear it. I remember once he said something like, homosexuality was destroying the fabric of society. And I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not what gays are doing. Have you seen what we do with fabric? Look at this sweater. I mean, if this is not the gay agenda, I don't know what is. I mean, probably civil rights, but it's definitely second. Yeah. Recently, I got an email saying there's going to be caroling in your neighborhood, and I was like, the fuck there is? I feel like a bunch of hetero, straight, white families singing at me is a hate crime. Yeah. And it's like bold to be doing that. They were doing it on a Saturday. Do you really want to come to a gay man's house on a Saturday? You don't know what I'm doing. I could be mulling wine. I could be hosting a 13-man orgy. Or a combination of the two. Ideally. I know what you're asking, Brian. Is it hard to mull wine? It is. But what you should be asking is why a 13-man orgy? And I think it's important that there's always a tiebreaker. I have no problem with like hetero straight families. I don't. Love is love. But I just feel like, okay, say you're at a table and there's like a charcuterie board. And you have your tapenade, you have your cheeses, your meats, your dried fruits. And instead of all of that, you just eat the plate. That's what like hetero people feel too, right? Unless you're here right now, then thank you for being here. And I don't know why, but in that metaphor, I feel like bisexuals are tapenade. And I don't understand the science behind that. It just really speaks to me that way. Yeah. I love this time of year. It's cold. The gays are out, but not in the same way. So the stakes are much lower. You know, I could be in a burlap sack and someone would be like, slay queen. Oh my God, self-care. Oh, that's gonna be my time. Thank you all.